Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your more motivation. Jumping back on today, as I want to get through the self-discovery series within the next few days or so. This is the last week of February, so I want to conclude this series and then move. I don't know exactly where I'm going to move to next. I'll be kind of meditating and taking a step back to figure out what that is. But just came back from the gym. I had a great workout today. Today I decided to get on a stair stepper, and as I was walking on the stairs, I realized like there's no elevator to success. You got to take the stairs, and climbing those stairs is difficult. And I see why they put elevators in buildings and escalators, because if you're not ready for those stairs, it can be demoralizing. It might stop people from going to the second story on a mall, or going to a higher floor if they didn't have the elevators, because those stairs are different. Normally when I run, my heartbeat gets up to about 125, 130. You know, the faster I sprint, the harder my heart race. But I was on a stair stepper and climbing those stairs. My heart got up to like 145, 150. Like it was really, and I was drenching in sweat from walking up those stairs. And sometimes I would sweat a lot when I run, but those stairs really work for me. So I'm going to make sure that I go back on those stairs and start exercising different parts of my body and making sure that I have a holistic health net. Because the thing about working out is that your body will adjust. Once you start doing something over and over again, your body adjusts and it kind of plateaus, and it impacts your ability to get into a better fitness level, as well as if you're trying to lose weight, your body will adjust. So you got to continually shock your body to make sure that you're switching it up, so your body becomes confused and it'll start burning calories when it's uncertain about where it needs to send energy or resources to in order for you to maintain. So switch it up every few weeks and you'll start seeing better results. So I'm gonna be on a stair stepper a little more over the next few weeks. But as I was going out there to the gym, I'm in Michigan, and the weather this last few weeks have been winter weather. And it's kind of normal for us to have winter weather, but I noticed like in the news and across the world that places that normally don't have this Michigan winter weather are experiencing that. And I got friends down in Texas and Austin and Dallas area. And those, and prayers go out to all those who are in Dallas that are impacted by this cold flurry that went through, and this winter storm that has changed how they operate in their mindset about winter living, because they're really not equipped to handle things like that. So as I was going to the gym today, I realized like there's some icy roads out there, and every time there's icy roads, there's a lot of accidents and things of that nature. So I was thinking about black ice, because when you get to places that you're not accustomed to driving in the wintertime, it makes it more dangerous if you're not equipped for what you think is there. And I was kind of drawing a parallel between what we have been talking about the last few videos. We've been talking about betrayal, and we've been talking about that the movie The Black Judas, and the Black Messiah and Judas, and how betrayal comes. And I was drawing a parallel between that and some of the road conditions that we're experiencing here in Michigan, as well as that down in Texas. About a week ago, maybe just over a week ago, there was an extreme pileup where cars were sliding into each other and crashing. And I think there was a few fatalities as a result of that. And one of that's because people are unaware of the black ice, and the ice itself is not black. It's just, you'll be driving on the road and you'll think that it's a normal road, and it just be clear. So you just see the asphalt or the concrete, and lo and behold, it's ice there. And if you're not aware that it's ice there, you're gonna slide, and you can potentially get spun out of control or hit something that you didn't intend to do, because you were going too fast for the conditions that exist. So as we're looking at how do we apply this to our lives, it's like, I think we need to treat people in situations like black ice. Like we got to know that it's potentially, it could get slippery out there, and that sometimes you got to be careful not to be going too fast. And we'll go through a few tips, and we're going to get back on track. But I think we are for the self-discovery, because once you start discovering yourself, the thing about it is that it's going to benefit you. And sometimes that means you might be by yourself as a result of some of the things you're finding out. So be prepared for that. When people start to show you who they are, then you got to be aware so you can not be thrown off your track if someone comes or goes. As long as you remain constant, you'll be okay. So one of the things that's with black ice that was mentioned is like, it's like it's normal conditions. And that's how it is with betrayal. It looks like it'd be like a normal condition. Like everything would be normal and be fine. You can be laughing 1 minute, and the next thing you know, you're in a big argument over something that you thought was nothing. And that's because it was black ice there. The conditions wasn't ready for you to be speeding down and going in that direction that fast. So a lot of people think like, hey, if I got a big truck, or if I, I got all-wheel drive, I got this SUV, that I should be immune to the black ice syndrome. But the reality of it is, it's like two-wheel slide just as well as four-wheel slide. Ice doesn't discriminate. So you just got to be prepared for the conditions. So just be mindful of that. And that's why you'll see, especially in Michigan, and I want to do the study, and I probably need to do the research, but just from my own bootleg research, there's more of the SUVs and the trucks that are on the side of the road from spinning out or being in ditches or running off road, because they have the illusion like they're exempt from the laws of nature. They think I got this big truck with big wheels, and I can just speed down on ice and stuff of that nature. And the reality of it is, it's like they find out maybe a little too late after off the side of the road that, hey, that big truck slides too, and it can slide right into a ditch. So you got to be mindful of it. You can't just go through life and just speeding through everything. Treat people, treat situations, and for me, even treating social media like it's black ice. And so what are some tips for you can do when you're going on black ice? First is recognize that it is ice. Like you're not in a normal summer day. The condition means you need to slow down. So you need to go slow and steady. And then, even before that, you even get to that point, computer signing off, make up in your mind, assess where I'm going. Is there somewhere I need to go? So a lot of people will try to operate in their normal life as though they need to go on with their normal life. But the reality of it is, when it's black ice out there, especially after a bad storm, and especially in an area like Texas, where they're not accustomed to that, you got to assess, do I need to go there? And then if it's a yes, you need to go there, do I need to go there right now? And then if you need to go there right now, how fast do I need to get there? Do I have enough time to reduce my speed and get there? And so you can go through a little more cautiously. So the other thing you want to do is avoid pumping your brakes. Avoid slamming on your brakes. A lot of times when things happen and get out of control, we slam on the brakes. And I'm guilty of that too. But it's better to just kind of lay off the gas if you can. But if you're going too fast for the conditions, it's better to pump your brakes. Pump them. Don't slam on them, because when you slam and hold, the brakes, it start to skid and it gets out of control and this and that, because your tires are engaged and they don't have anywhere to go. So it's better to pump it slightly just to slow down the speed, and then go from there. So be careful. You go slow, and if you're going too fast, you may want to pump the brakes. And then the third thing you want to do is know how to handle the skid. If your car starts spinning out of control, you got to know how to handle it. And most people panic when things start to slide and go in different direction. So most people want to turn in the opposite directions of the skid. So if your car is skidding to the right, they want to turn, to the left, they want to turn to the right, and that's going to cause that car just to rotate around. Well, you got to go against conventional wisdom. So if everything in you is telling you to turn in the opposite direction of it, then you need to turn into the direction of the turn. So that's one of the lessons learned in the parallels. Like, don't do what everybody else is doing. Don't do what's normal, because you'll get a normal result. And we as kings, we're above normal. This is not a normal thing for us to be normal. So don't try to people place you into that. And then make sure your equipment. The fourth thing is like, you know, you shouldn't have a PS5 and have ball tires. Like, the tires on your vehicle needs to be equipped. Um, Certain tires are for summer only. And if you got some low profile tires that look good when they armoralled up and stuff like that, those are not the tires you want to use in the wintertime. So make sure you got the right equipment. Make sure that your tires are balanced and rotated, because that all makes a difference. So make sure you have the right equipment for the area and environment that you're in. And then the last thing is like, watch the temperature. Like, you all know that below 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing. So if it's freezing and you know that it's been raining or it's been snow and the snow is going to melt, and you're below that 32 degrees, that's going to turn into ice. So you got to be mindful of that. Like, hey, we just had rain and now it's cold and it's below freezing the temperature out there. I know the roads look good, but it's black ice. So I was drawing a parallel with those things. It's like, sometimes, we got to treat people like black ice. And if you treat people like black ice, then Judas is going to have a hard time getting to you, because that betrayal is going to have a hard time getting to you, because, you observed the environment. You went slow and steady. Sometimes you can get excited and you can go too fast. And when you go in too fast, you start missing a lot of details and stuff. So slow down. So you slow down when you meet somebody, you slow down, or whatever, who it may be. Try to avoid the black ice. And then, the conditions. If it's the environment's hot, cold, you got to be aware of that. When things start to go away, be mindful of that. So if you treat people like black ice, I think that you'll be a lot better and a lot more equipped to handle the situation. Because the one thing, if you're going slow and steady and you start to slide, you're not going to cause a lot of damage. You may just end up coasting to a stop, and then you can begin again a little slower, or you can pull off to the side. But if you're going too fast for the conditions, you're just going to continue to slide and slide and slide and slide, and it's going to cause damage. And in some situation, it could be fatal. So be careful of that. Making that transition into self-discovery, because I think that's all a part of self-discovery. Because if you don't, you can get in slippery situations and you find yourself in a ditch somewhere. So last time we left off on the family thing, and there's about 4 more questions that I want to get through on the family. And it talks about, what is my favorite memory about my family? Like, what is it, your signature moments in your family? And this is part of this self-discovery, because God has placed us. The one thing you got to realize is, like, you can choose a lot of things in life, but you can't choose your parents. You can't choose where you were born, to who you were born. Those decisions were made for you. You didn't even choose your name, unless, you grew up and you changed your name. But the reality of it is, those things were preordained by God. He placed you as a seed somewhere and wanted you to plant and grow in that environment. So that's kind of that thing. Like, a lot of people are arrogant because they live in this town or that town, and they brag about stuff they had nothing to do with. Like, there's people born in third world countries that they didn't have a choice to be there. That was their birth, pre-birth determination. Like, hey, they're going to be born in a slum or something of that nature. So, what is your favorite memory? And I say that because where we grow at will kind of determine how we are able to grow. And I know I talk a lot about the rose that grew from the concrete. One of the poems that Tupac had, and it was talk about being birthed in adversity and not giving up. So what is it about your family that brings a great memory to you, or something that's a signature mark? Do you have that? And if you don't have that, then you still in charge of your kingdom to create that for your seeds and people that follow behind you. But I know for me, coming up, our family reunions down in Alabama were like signature moments in my life. We would go down there and, meet our cousins and hang out with them on the 4th of July and do a lot of fireworks and stuff of that nature. So those things still like hold true to me to this day, like memories of that back in the 90s and just out having a cookout in the yard and, playing different games and stuff like that. So we had those moments, and those are some of the moments that still shape me to this day. Like, I love family gatherings. I like to have cookouts. I like to have people over. I like to go over to cookouts. So that is one of the things. So determining your family, what is some of the favorite moments in your family when you're discovering yourself? The next question is, do I listen to my family more than to myself? And as I was looking at this question, I was like, wow, that's deep, because, you grow up in this family, and these people, and I say these people, brothers, siblings, parents, whatever, that are cousins, they're around you, they observe you. And all of them, from some aspect, know you. And they want to impart wisdom and advice to you, what you should do with your life and this and that. And there's nothing wrong from listening to that. But the question is, like, do you listen to them more than you listen to yourself? Because I used to have a saying, like, when I was big in the church and going a lot of times, it's like, when God is talking to you, who is he talking to? He's talking to you. So if someone comes in and they got a word for your life, they should really be confirming something that God has spoken to you independently of them. And that they bring that confirmation and that bringing a new revelation for you to be going in this direction. So if you're not hearing from God, maybe you got to clean out your ears and get your antenna right so you can hear from God. So you're not dependent on others as much as you are depending on God and the God in you. So when you're listening to your family, it's not saying you can't have it as a place of refuge. It's supposed to be. It's not saying you can't have it as a place of counsel. It's supposed to be. It's not saying you can't have it as a place of wisdom and be refreshed. That's what all a healthy environment is supposed to be. But at the same time, there's something in you that's different, than what's a restriction or a no to someone else doesn't mean that it's a no for you. And a lot of people will superimpose their limitations on you. I mean, like, if they weren't able to do such and such, and because you're in their family, they think you're not supposed to be able to do such and such. So don't have people self-impose restrictions or biases or self-impose. And that's how a lot of hate and stuff gets generational. It's because someone experienced something and then they have a negative experience, and instead of them really dealing with the aspect of it, they start passing that down. They want to make sure everybody that they have in contact with views it the same way they do. And what you got to do, you got to free yourself from the shackles of other people's opinion of you. And this is not easy. And as I mentioned, like, this self-discovery may have you by yourself. And you're going to have to be okay with that. I posted something on social media the other day. I says, love yourself enough to enjoy yourself. And really do enjoy yourself. Like, I'm a person that like people. But at the same time, I love myself. And I'm learning to love myself even more. So don't listen to family members more than you listen to yourself. And in order to listen to yourself, you have to sometimes get into some quiet spaces. So as we were talking about black ice, my social media right now is a slippery situation. I'm in a transition from one stage to another, and some people are not wanting me to grow or become a better version of myself. And, people will say joke things and about this and that. So it's like black ice. I got to realize, like, there's a multitude of people that's on my friend list in there. But probably less than 1% of the people that I'm friends with on social media that I actually engage with on a regular basis. I would say it's probably 0.3, 0.5%. So out of 100 plus percent out there. I think less than 1% of the time I'm actually engaging and talking with somebody outside of those platforms, outside of Facebook, Instagram, or whatever it may be. Like, I'm not engaging with them. So why, subject myself to their opinions of what I should do and this and that? And sometimes it's a facade. And I admit at times I get caught up in a facade that I'm about to pull back from it even more, to shore up my foundation. Because why would I focus on what majority of people think, when I'm only dealing with a small percentage of those people in a close friendship, family, intimate level? When I say intimate, it's not just about sex. I'm talking about in general, just people who know the unbridled you, the people who know how you are, or who you are, and how you respond to things and stuff of that nature. They don't understand that, so they really can't appreciate that. So don't listen to your family more than yourself. Sometimes you got to take some step back, and like we said on that black ice, you got to slow down and go steady. And sometimes you don't want to slam on the brakes, but I got to pump the brakes a little and get my speed down a little bit. And, when it starts to skid out of control, I got to learn how to control the skid. The next question is like, what am I thankful for about my family? For me, it's like being creative. Like, each of my family members, especially my immediate family, my brothers and even my sister to extent, I think they all got brilliant minds. They're abstract in their own way. My brother, younger brother, is the most free abstract thinker I know, and just gifted that way. Just very talented in the things you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. My older brother, mechanically inclined, as I said on some videos, he started tearing engines apart. I think he was like 14, 15 years old. Now he's a master mechanic and stuff of that nature. And he has a knack for that. My sister, she has a way with words too. She's published author, and so she's able to manipulate words and to really get trains of thoughts out there. So that's what I enjoy. It's like we're all uniquely different, in that we're not the same. So I think the diversity is what I enjoy and thankful for. Which of my family member do I admire the most? That was kind of difficult, and that is the last question on there. Which of my family members do I admire the most? I think I would have to say probably my Uncle Manley, God rest his soul. I used to enjoy how manly and authentic he was, because you didn't see that. Like, when you come from a matriarch family, and the women run things, when you see a man like that, it really makes an impression on you. Like, he took care of business at home, but he also had his fun. He had his cars, and he dressed well, and he was well kept, ate nice food and stuff of that nature. Just like that manly man. I guess that was his last name, Manley. And that's what I used to call him, Uncle Manley. It's like, when you see that man's man, I think it's just a signature. It really makes a signature statement in a young man's life to see a grown man handling business and still being authentically masculine in that. Because a lot of us young kings, we grew up and we didn't have that. We didn't have that as an example. Like, a lot of us grew up in single parent homes, and we didn't see someone acting that alpha masculine role in a productive part of society. Most time when you see alpha coming up, it's more in a destructive way, in fighting or tearing stuff down, but not in the building and enjoying life. So that is the end of the ones for the family, and we're coming up on 25 minutes. There is a version that's for school, so I'll get into that because I'm thinking about going back to school myself. I may go get a PhD, so I'm gonna start contemplating that over the next few months, kicking it around and see if I should do that. But with that being said, treat people like black ice. It could be a slippery situation out there. And if you're not careful, you may slide into a ditch. Be well, young kings.